So apparently, according to Shaq, Wemby cannot be dominant.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs beat writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. As always, we are glad to have you back right here on Locked On Spurs, your first spot for all things silver and black. We appreciate it. Subscribe at Locked On Spurs YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app, iTunes, Spotify. Just basically pick any type of platform and you'll find the Locked On Spurs and the rest of the Locked On NBA and Locked On Podcast Network. Today's episode was brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just go to FanDuel.com to get started. What are we talking about today? We're going to be reacting to what Shaq had to say about Wemby. Apparently, Wemby can't be dominant. We'll explain more about what Shaq then react to it and then disprove Shaq's thoughts because I don't know where he got that idea from. And then we're going to get into some Locked On Spurs fan comments. Well, without further ado, let's go and bring in our guest. He is back, everybody, after a long hiatus. Not because I didn't want him back on, just trying to get this guy on the schedule that we're and I fit. Look at that. It's Joe Garcia. Woo, Joe is back. Mr. Area 210 podcast himself. What's going on, Joe?
Nothing, man. Glad to be back on the show. You caught me on a day that I'm off from work, so I'm not working in the evenings. I'm not doing the Alamo City Sportscast. So we got everything to align up just right. I'm glad to be back on Los, talking everything and anything that has to do with San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, again, everybody, I try to get Joe on. I sent him a text over there, but he's like, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm at work." Remember, he's a family man too, so I got to work around that schedule. But as y'all can tell, he's a new Area 210 podcast. Look at that alien in the background. By the way, Joe, is this show also brought to you by Gremlins?
Right.
I think it is,
Gremlins. Right? every time we
seriously
do a show, something happens.
Seriously, Joe and I were like 3, 2, 1, go, and then on command, the Gremlins came up. Joe's telling me, "Jeff, I can't see you. I can't hear you." We noticed like there is spelling error. We're like, what is going on? Gremlins rear their ugly heads, but no shock because that's always happens to me right here on Locked On Spurs, Joe. Although, Joe, you might be saving me soon. You might be saving me from Gremlins soon.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Like we might be doing a network upgrade, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so why is Joe here? Well, we're going to be discussing Shaq and the wild comments he had to say about Wemby. According to Shaq, he doesn't think Victor can be dominant. We'll tell you why. And then get some of your thoughts, Locked On Spurs fan comments, and away we go. So if y'all were living under a rock, you might not have heard this, but recently on NBA ESPN, well, they were talking about, dominant centers in the league, who would dominate this and that. And he mentioned the usual suspect, Joker and Embiid. And then it came down to Wemby. And according to Shaq, well, he doesn't think, he doubts Wemby will be dominant. Why? Because he relies on jump shots. Now, Shaq did say that he wishes Wemby the best. He did say he's a great player, but he still doesn't think, he's not sold that Wemby can be dominant. Joe, we got to ask Shaq there, is he smoking the good stuff? Because did he not look at his rookie season last season? Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, Shaq, it just seems like he likes to troll San Antonio Spurs players and the fan base as well. Shaq, he grew up here. He went to Cole High School locally here in San Antonio, Texas. And he just never seems to give the city the respect it deserves or say anything good about it, or the players. Always has negative things to say about it. But, going and comparing what he's saying to, about Wemby and then comparing it to himself in a way, because Shaq's game and Wemby's game are two totally different styles. Shaq was just bulldozing, playing bully ball, bulldozing players out of the way. He made a living of his career of playing inside the paint, being dominant inside the paint because he was 7'7+, big guy, nicknamed the Diesel for a reason, and just wreaking havoc, in his heyday in the paint, and you look at Wemby, and Wemby, he's not built like Shaq. He doesn't have to live inside the paint. In today's NBA, if Shaq was doing what he did in today's NBA, he would get fouled out of the game immediately, probably
Oh my
within
God,
minutes.
yeah.
It wouldn't fly anymore. The game has evolved. And then now you actually have to, in order to be a big man in today's NBA, it helps if you can shoot the ball. You don't always just have
Yeah.
to make a living inside the paint. Wemby, he's 7 foot plus. He can shoot the ball. He's playing
Hmm.
to his strengths. We saw how bad he was going to be in year one, and his worst year was still great. He played amazingly well for a rookie, and he can shoot the ball. That's something Shaq could never do. So Shaq, even just putting Wemby's name in his mouth and trying to enter this conversation, it just needs to stop. All he needed to say is, I wish the kid well. He's had a great rookie
Yeah.
season. I look forward to seeing what else he can accomplish in his long, NBA career, and leave it at
Yeah.
that. Go
Yeah.
ahead and give him some positive reinforcement. Don't just be negative, but Shaq
Yeah.
is Shaq. He's going to do what he does.
Yeah. Now, just a quick correction. Shaq said these comments on the Pat McAfee show, and this is the direct quote. Joe says Wemby is a great player, but I don't really think you can be dominant when you shoot jumpers a lot. Because I think if he was an inside player at 7'5", the answer would be yes, that he'd be dominant. But when you shoot jumpers, you're always going to go up and down. He ended it with a compliment. He said he's a fine player. He wishes him well. Now, first of all, is it me, Joe, or Shaq cannot stand there could be better centers in the league either when he was playing or post-career, because he took shots at David Robinson. We all know that. He's tends to sometimes take shots at Tim Duncan. That was the big man in Shaq's playing days that really got in his way. Shaq has 4 rings. TD has 5. That burns him a lot. Just, you ever notice a pattern when it comes to other big men? Shaq is always kind of just banging on them. What are your thoughts?
That's just the way he's always been. If the
Yeah.
light's not shining on him and what he's did in his career, and
Yeah.
it's just not for him. He wants to see a player. He's going to respect a player that really played more
Hmm.
like him. That style of play, dominating inside the paint, reinforcing your will on other players and just being aggressive.
Yeah.
And again, you can't really do a lot of that in today's NBA. While
Mm-mm.
there's still little flashes here and there of some players that tend to do that every now and then, you can't really ink out a long career doing that, because you're going to be fouled out sitting on the bench. And how's that going to help your team? It's not,
Hmm.
so you have to evolve your game. And again, Shaq trying to compare what happened in the late 90s, early
Yeah.
2000s kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
done. Today's NBA is all about offense. It's not really about the defensive game. While there
Hmm.
are some teams that play really good defense, and you look at the Boston Celtics, and they've been playing really decent defense, and that's what got them, over into the finals.
Hmm.
The game has evolved. It's not the same anymore. So I think Shaq and his comments are kind of unfounded. He's still living in the past. You got to look forward, man. You got to look to the future now. You can't be living in the past anymore.
Yeah. Now look, if numbers don't lie, then this is very telling of how dominant Wemby is. Now, this is just his rookie season. So I think Shaq should look back and look at Wemby's rookie season numbers only, because they're insane. 21.4 points per game, 10.6 rebounds, led the NBA in block shots at 3.6 per game, 3.9 assists. And that's just his base. That's just the base stats. Shaq, you might want to listen up to this. Wemby had 1,522 points, 755 rebounds, 274 assists, and 254 blocks, becoming the first player in NBA history with 1,500 plus points, 700. You see where I'm going with this? Plus 200 assists. That is dominance right there. Okay, let's go on more, Joe. He recorded 342 combined steals and blocks, became the first rookie to record more than 300 combined steals and blocks in a season since, everybody, Shaquille O'Neal in 92-93. So here we go. I mean, if Shaq thinks he's dominant, well, that one stat alone should put Wemby up there with Shaq, that he can be and is a dominant player. Your thoughts, Joe?
I mean, it's the numbers don't lie, but you can't tell Shaq that. Again, you're comparing. You're trying to go ahead and knock sense into him, and unfortunately, he's gonna Shaq. He's gonna whatever he's thinking, he's gonna say. He's gonna go by his emotions. He's driven. He's a man of emotions. if you look and see what he's done, on the NBA, on TNT, and all that, he's always driven by his emotions. He doesn't care what makes sense, and everybody telling him, "Hey, these are the stats." He's gonna be, well, damned with that. I don't want to see that. Don't tell me the
Yeah.
odds. Just
Yeah.
like Han Solo, he's just gonna go off
Yeah.
and be a rogue agent, saying what nonsense he wants to spew out, and it's just purely for entertainment. And I think that's what
Yeah.
he's doing here. He means something behind it as far as
Mhm.
Wemby going to be a good player and whatnot. But the way that he goes about saying things, sometimes it's just like you can't take the guy serious, man, because
No.
he doesn't want to hear the stats that you just pointed out. He doesn't want to hear anything. He's going to go and tell you what he wants because he wants you to go ahead and do what? Tune in, listen
Yeah.
to him,
Tune in.
hit
Yeah.
that like button.
Yeah. Well, no, look, Shaq would have said something like, "Oh, I'm just giving him motivation because I
Yeah.
want him to be dominant." We've heard that excuse before.
Yeah.
I think he did that with didn't he do that with JaVale McGee? He was picking on
Yeah.
him and
He's done
stuff like
that with
that.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's done. To me, I just think, look, I get it. He's a pro athlete. He thinks himself as the greatest, center to ever play. And look, that's fine. He's competitive. Yay, but you gotta give kudos where kudos is
Yeah.
deserved. I mean,
It's
Wemby.
hard for him to give credit.
Yeah, it's hard for him to do that. We want to continue on with this too. Look, Wemby was also, I'm sorry, excuse me, the youngest player in NBA history to post a 40-20 game. That was against New York versus New York and on March 29th. And we can't forget this too. Wemby's just 20 years old. He's 20 years old and he already did all that at 20 years old
Yeah.
and
He
with
ain't even
one
old enough
season.
to drink, Jeff.
He don't know to drink. Yeah, exactly. And look, he, as his career progresses, he's going to gain more size. So you might start seeing him dominate more in the paint once he adds more thickness to his body. Now, over the offseason, he did tell another outlet that he added about 4 to 6 pounds of muscle. That's good. That's good. But he's still thin. It'll probably, when he hits 22, 23, is where you start seeing him really fill out. But you think, Joe, just in Shaq's mind, he thinks dominant is basically a big man from the 80s and the 90s, right? We got to factor that in too, because the game has evolved. It's more swiftness, it's more multi positional, it's more stretch bigs. Joker, he may be a big guy, but he can stretch the floor. He shoots jumpers. Joel Embiid, he's a big bruising guy, but he also takes jump shots too. So it's not just Wemby, is it, Joe?
No, it's not. It's just the evolution of the big man in today's NBA. It's not the same anymore. Like we're saying, that what they need to tell Shaq is that infamous meme that goes around, right, on social media. The future is now, old man. Nobody's going ahead and just bulldozing their way inside the paint anymore. You got to make a living outside of the paint. You got to
Yeah,
be able to stretch the defense, make your jump shots, be able to make your free throws, be able
yeah,
to shoot a 3-pointer. That's something Shaq could never do.
yeah,
Hit his free throws consistently. That's why they called it the Hack a Shack. So come on,
yeah.
Shaq, get with the times, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a different era. Shaq was in a game where it was just bruising. And it was David, it was Shaq, it was Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing,
Hakeem
Tim
Elijah.
Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon. That's just the way it was. And who knows? Maybe years from now, when Wemby's all retired, he'll say something like, "Oh, back in my day, we didn't have to be bruising." It just shifts. It just shifts
Yeah.
every era. With the big man. I remember for a long time it was a era of this point guards.
The small
Parker,
ball.
Nash, and there was small ball, and then there was 7 seconds
Yeah.
or less. That's just evolution of the game. But you know what? Hold that thought, Joe. When we get back, we're going to be asking what are some of Wemby's strengths and weaknesses, and then get into some of your comments. Locked On Spurs fans, you guys are leaving them. We'll talk about that in just a few seconds. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You got to go to FanDuel right now. Look, you heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, and rightfully so. It's America's #1 sportsbook. You heard that right. Well, we have a little something different for you. Now through September 22, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get themselves a 3-week free trial of Sunday NFL Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV. That is a great deal. You got to take advantage of that right now. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch regular season games, Sunday afternoon, out of market games. I mean, pretty much you have your fill of NFL games via that deal they got there. Seriously, you got to get it. All you got to do is get a Google account, or if you have one, just use it, a current form of payment, and then you can cancel it anytime. By the way, that FanDuel app, very easy to use, not hard to navigate, very intuitive, user-friendly. Place your bet whenever you want. 1, 2, 3, you're in and out. parlays, win total. Seriously, go check it out, FanDuel.com right now. And if that's not enough, FanDuel also has something special for our listeners this weekend. Be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for all Sunday 9-8 pregame money line bets. That's really good. Go check that out right now. Profit Boost will be live starting Friday 9-6. View your account page right now if you got it to learn more about your boost. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. I also want to talk to you about Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's in the 281 to 1604 area. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go there right now. Serving San Antonio the best drinks in town, from coffees to hot drinks to cold drinks to lattes to seriously, pick something you want to drink and just sip on. They have it. Great menu, mini donuts as well. Great staff, proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs, and a proud community member of San Antonio, giving San Antonio the best drinks in the city. Go there right now, San Antonio. Check out the Lightning Bolt series. That includes the Alien, which is a energy drink inspired by Victor Wembanyama. It's really good. And by the way, the Lightning Bolt series, that's my favorite drink to get there. I like it so much that the last time I was there, I had myself like the big grande one because it's that good. But by the way, just heads up too, those drinks are going to be made with Lotus Energy, power plant extracts. It allows them to have the flexibility to create more drinks. But if you want Red Bull, we'll just tell them and they'll put it in there for you. But the default is going to be the Lotus Energy. Same effects as Red Bull, but again, with the 7 power plant extracts. Gotta try it. It's that delicious. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every single day. Follow them on social media at Muslinger SATX. They're open right now, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go check them out because life is too short for bland coffee. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Joe Garcia. Follow him on X at Area 210 Podcast. You can see, by the way, Joe, just heads up, you're getting abducted right now. There's an alien above you right now. Be careful. They're coming for you, Joe.
Yeah, that's the new logo, man. So I'll be making sure I send you a little care package there because it's a rebrand from Two Shots over to Area 210 because I thought it fit more with what's happening and the evolution of, what's going on with the Spurs now versus what living in the past, We got to evolve, Jeff. We got to evolve.
Well, first of all, not like Shaq, but more on that in a few minutes. Is he in the Fiesta Spirit, by the way? I see he's wearing like a Fiesta hat. They wear in Market Square.
Yeah, he's got a little sombrero. So this is a Dia de los Muertos kind of aliens,
Look at that.
So yeah, it's giving some of the flavor of San Anto. Got to put it in there.
I just don't want them to abduct you, Joe.
Yeah, they won't.
Don't get abducted, Joe.
Maybe they should abduct Shaq, for his bad takes.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go and wrap that quick conversation here. So, I guess in case you missed it, Shaq had some choice words about Wemby and if he could be dominant with the Pat McAfee show. Basically just saying that Wemby isn't dominant in his opinion because he takes too many jumpers. First of all, I think Wemby in rookie year, as far as diversity on the court, is probably more impactful than maybe Shaq was his rookie year. Granted, different eras, different style of play, but if you project this out, Wemby could be more dominant in all facets of the game than maybe Shaq can be. Shaq couldn't take threes. Wemby can take them and knock them down. Shaq struggled at the free throw line. Wemby's pretty good. He's not great, but he's pretty good. He's probably going to shatter defensive player of the year records. He might rack up 5, 6, 10 at this rate. If you project it out, I think Wemby could become the most dominant big man the NBA has ever seen. What do you think, Joe?
I think he can be one of the most dominant players, in the game. The thing is that in my opinion, I think Wemby will be up for 2 awards next season. I think he's going to be up for most improved player of the year and also defensive player of the year. It'd be nice to see him garner both of those. And the next thing that Spurs fans can look forward to is maybe this next season or this upcoming season, should I say, Wemby will be voted into the All-Star game and he'll be an NBA All-Star. So exciting things in year 2.
Yeah. And now look, it's way too soon in Wemby's career. Shaq is Hall of Fame worthy. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Shaq has the rings. Wemby doesn't as of yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Joe, do you think we won't get to the dominant talk until Wemby racks up multiple championships? You think that's when we can put him in the, okay, is he one of the most dominant bigs? Is he going to have rings on his resume?
I don't know if he's going to essentially just need rings. It's going to be
Yeah.
more than that. It's going to be the evolution of his game. And as Wembanyama evolves and his game evolves, and he's going to be able to put up, some crazy, insane numbers, I would think, when it's all said
Yeah.
and done. Another thing that can actually help him, propel him into the stratosphere is being able to play alongside a great cast of let's say characters.
Mhm.
The Spurs, they do need a point guard. Maybe that can be Castle. We'll see.
Maybe,
He's a
yeah.
rookie too. You have Devin Vassell that hopefully is going to have a great season. It's going to
Yeah.
stay healthy. You have Jeremy Sohan. You have some pieces that you're surrounding Wembanyama with. Now, these players also evolved along with Wembanyama, which will happen at some point in time. You better watch out because once this team gets hot and they figure things out there, Wembanyama's game is going to just go through the roof, and he's going to be a dominating force. We've already seen little flashes of what he can do in his rookie season. Near the end of the season, he was dominating games. He was willing the Spurs to victory. He
Mhm.
was out there blocking multiple shots. Remember that one highlight reel that we
Yeah.
have where he's just blocking and blocking
Mhm.
shots left and right. That's what's going to happen as he gets even more adept to using his skill set out there in the NBA.
Mhm.
So I'm just looking forward to great things out of Wemby. So
Yeah.
remember, when year one is the worst you're ever going to see of Wemby. Year
Mhm.
two, hey, if he can pick up
Yeah.
Jeff from where he left off near the end of the season,
Absolutely.
better watch out.
Yeah. Hey, so before we transition to some fan comments, just want to get your thoughts on this. Do you still see some weaknesses in Wemby's game? I think the obvious is he's still light of frame. He's still thin. But that'll come in time. Just naturally, him just filling out his own body and then being on the Spurs regiment plan like that. But where else do you see maybe some weaknesses in Wemby's game?
His decision making, and what I mean by that is that sometimes he gets a little bit too ambitious. He wants to go ahead and either be a little bit too ambitious or a little bit too casual with his
Yeah.
passes. So he'll go ahead and he'll want to find the open man and he tries to force the issue. And that'll turn into what? A turnover, team going the other way, an easy basket. And that can actually cost you games when you have these games in crunch time, where you're either tied or Spurs are down by 1 point. He just needs to get a little bit better, I think, with his decision making ability. And he also needs to learn one important aspect to his game. You're the tallest guy out there on the court at any given time. If Wemby can go ahead and just be able to shoot over players, I mean, it's lights out. If he can do like a fadeaway
Hmm.
jumper, it's over. Who's going to be able to guard him? He can do that at will, and I think if he learns how to go ahead and develop that aspect of his game, he's going to be a dominating force. He doesn't necessarily have to live inside the paint like Shaq is saying. If he can go ahead and use his strong suit, which is just shooting over everybody, a little fadeaway jumper, kind of Dirk Nowitzki esque, it's over. Jeff, who's going to
It's
stop him?
over.
You
Yeah.
you can't guard that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's coming. It's coming. If he just did what we just rattled off stats wise in just year one, more is coming. Now, the Spurs team is going to help him as well. Chris Paul's there now at the pick and roll with him, and CP3 is going to be devastating. Like Lob City again, here we come. There's Harrison Barnes that's going to help him have a nice complimentary piece in the near the paint area. Not to say
Barnes can
Vassell,
shoot too. Barnes can
yeah,
shoot.
Barnes is, yeah, he's that. And then you got Vassell obviously there who's developing chemistry with him. The list goes on and on. So the just now team wise, this person doing the right things. But all in all, no, Shaq is just. I think either he just wanted some clicks, he got them, or he really believes that Wemby is not dominant just because he shoots jump
What
shots.
was the
But
name of the show he came out on again?
the Pat McAfee show.
That tells you all you need to know. When you're on the
Joe,
4-letter network, what is it? It's all clickbait. It's just entertainment, man. That's all it is. They're just
yeah.
talking heads that are spewing out this stuff so they can entertain you guys, get the conversation rolling. That's all it is, dude. At the end of the
That's
day.
all it is. But we put Shaq in his place. We gave him some stats. We gave him some observations. So Shaq, go back and check the footage. Look at the stat sheets. Go to Google. Type in Wemby's rookie season. He won the Rookie of the Year. Just seriously, go look at the NBA press release and you'll see all what he did in just one season. All right, when we get back, we're going to talk about you guys, Locked On Spurs fans, and the comments you're leaving at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. This episode of Locked On Spurs is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, we all can use some help, whether we're having down moments in our life or up moments in our life. If you want to try online therapy, BetterHelp is the place to go to right now. It's anonymous, it's secure, it's confidential, it's private. It's everything you need in online therapy built into one, which is why BetterHelp is your spot to go to whenever you need to get things off your chest. Now, look, like I said a while ago, it's not just for people who are experiencing trauma. If you're having good times and you want to keep those good times going on, BetterHelp will keep you on track. Now, things in life, kids are growing up fast. Sometimes you don't have time for yourself and you forget what makes you happy. BetterHelp can put you back on track with that as well. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back to school era, in this case with the kids, sometimes that can weigh down on you. And that's where online therapy can come in. Now, so if you're thinking about starting therapy, you want to give BetterHelp a try. Again, go there right now. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs. Just a heads up, everybody. Joe did not get abducted. The alien did not take him. Did you fight him off, Joe? Did you have did you throw hands with that alien?
No, man, not at all. Went ahead and created him myself, Jeff. Got to give him a little flavor.
Yeah, you put him to work. You put him to work. That's what you did.
To work, man.
Joe's going to brag about his new rebranded show. You see it on your screen right there, the Area 210 podcast. He's going to talk about that. Also, the YouTube show as well with Mike Jimenez. That in just a few seconds. But, Joe, let's see what Locked On Spurs fans are talking about. You guys are leaving a bunch of comments. Keep it coming over at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Well, here we go. Joe, the first comment is from Chalk Stick 9581. Seriously, Joe, sometimes fans have these long names and I'm trying my best to read them here, but Chalk Stick 9581. Now he's reacting to the recent news that Keldon Johnson is going to go ahead and give up CP3, well, the number 3 to CP3, and Johnson's becoming number 0. He says, I think the Spurs just kept the suspense. Chris probably put it in his contract. Do you think Chris Paul put it in his Spurs contract that he has to be CP3 in San Antonio, Joe?
No, man. I mean, he's doing the right thing. Just, he's not putting in his contract. He's not a diva demanding that, hey, the number 3 be given to him. He knew it was going to happen, man. He probably just, talk with Pop and he's like, Coach Pop is like, don't worry, man. We'll get you the number 3. I'll talk to Keldon. I'll put in a good word for you. And of course, Keldon's going to do the right thing because, I mean, CP3 is a veteran player. He's going to probably be inducted at some point in time to the
he will.
Basketball. Remember, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA Hall of Fame. Let's get that right because fans get so upset. But, I mean, Keldon did the right thing, and Keldon going and getting the number 0. It's a number he wore when he was playing with the Austin Spurs. So it's kind of like him coming back, full circle. So good for him,
Yeah. And it was this is how much of an off season it was. Everybody was debating about this. And I had a video of KJ at a meet and greet in Corpus Christi where a fan asked him flat out, are you going to keep number 3? And Keldon, on video, his words, said, yes, I am. For sure, definitely, I'm going to be KJ3 moving into next season. And then the fan even told him, he goes like, hey, cool, because you're signing my Keldon Johnson jersey, number 3, and I don't want to switch it out. So Keldon might have some explaining to do to that fan who got him on video saying that. But you know what I like, though, Joe, is that even though and I put out news out there about Keldon Johnson himself on video saying it, I got accused of clickbait. How is that clickbait if it's Keldon Johnson?
Oh, it's probably the haters from that other outlet, the frauds, that are out there.
I know.
The charlatans. Don't fall for it.
Here's his video right here. Clickbait. How can it be? It's right there. But anyway, so obviously something happened between that conversation with the fan till when KJ posted on Instagram the number 0. So maybe look, it's CP3 is Keldon's favorite player growing up. Yeah. I saw it coming. I even wrote about it too, saying don't be surprised if that happens. That KJ says, yes, here's number 3, Chris Paul. I'll switch to a different number. It's 0. So I'm not shocked by it, but some fans really felt that he should not have. That he earned it. He has more seniority with San Antonio. But look, at the end of the day, hey Joe, but if Chris Paul's going to offer you some cash for a number, Joe, I think you'll take that cash, huh?
Yeah, you're doing the right thing, keeping the cohesiveness with the team, giving them the number,
Yeah,
because he's a veteran. It's like, hey, I'm going to do the right thing, give you the number, I'll take the 0. We're all good. Let's move on.
we're all
Let's
good.
have a good season, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But I'm going to tell Spurs fans something, and you all got to listen to this.
All right,
If
here we
you
go.
want to get the most up-to-date Spurs information, the reliable information,
Hit him,
get it
Joe.
from Jeff Garcia, please. He's
Yes.
the one that he'll fact check everything. He's not going to put out clickbait. He is the guy that's going to give you the actual news. He's not
Yeah.
going to go out there and act like, oh, he has all these sources and all that. Jeff is going to give you the skinny
Yeah.
on what's happening. So follow Jeff. Don't be
Thank you,
fooled
Joe.
by the other people. You're going to hear it from Jeff. It's solid. It's solid.
I appreciate that, Joe. I really appreciate that. Checks in the mail, by the way. All right. Our next comment is from Jacob C3996. Now, he's reacting to a recent episode about Stefon Castle. He says, I want Castle on the Spurs roster to start the season. Sit him down right next to CP3. Besides, the rookie needs to bring the donuts and whatever else the team needs. But what do you think about that, Joe? We discussed this on a recent episode of Locked On Spurs about the idea of the Spurs maybe toying with sending Castle to the G League. Why? Because of the point guard depth now. It's Castle, it's CP3, it's Trey Jones, it's Blake Wesley. Like, something's got to give. So Jacob this time, he said, like, no, I guess in his mind, don't send him to Austin, keep him on the bench, just plant him next to CP3, let him learn. What do you think about that, Joe? Do you think the Spurs should maybe toy with the idea of sending him to the G League or just sticking him on that roster, and whenever he gets playing time, he gets playing time?
Well, let's be honest with this, and let's look at it from a different perspective. When the Spurs were winning championships and they were winning 50-plus games every season, right, going into the playoffs, you had that luxury where you could send these rookies or your draft picks over to the G League and let them cook there, bring them in every once in a while and ship them back. Now, given the way that the Spurs record has been over the last couple of years, you don't have that luxury anymore.
Yeah.
You have a high pick. You got to see what the kid can do, man. You got to see what the kid can do. You got to get him out there. You got to see what kind of chemistry he has with Wemby and the rest of the team. You never know. Maybe this kid will surprise everybody and he'll get a starting position at some point, sometime down the line. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but he can definitely get some run if he deserves it. We don't know what he has because, hey, we haven't even seen him play one game in the silver and black yet. But I'm just saying, in today's San Antonio Spurs, let's say basketball, you got to play the kid. You don't have the luxury again to send him over to the G League anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We're not, let's say Manu, Tony, and Timmy are not walking through that door anymore. This is a new era. You got to see what the kid's got, man. That's just my opinion. I think sending him over to the G League, while it can help him develop his game, how is that going to help the team get more wins? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we brought it up because, look, he ain't no way, at least to start the season, he's not going to overtake Chris Paul in the rotation. All right. Yeah, so there's that. Probably not early in the season over Trey Jones. I don't think they're going to eat it to Trey Jones's numbers. Then there's the conundrum right there. Then it's Blake Wesley or Castle. But then again, with Castle, you don't have to strictly keep him at point guard. He's a guard. You want to stick him at the 2, he'll definitely get burned at the 2. I said on Locked On Spurs, Joe, but it's going to get Castle some rookie minutes in San Antonio versus G League is his defense. I think if he shines out in defense, that's going to get him some good chunk of minutes under Pop's system. But we'll see. You're right, Joe. We only got 3 G League games of him, and that's it. So we got to see how he looks in training camp. We got to look how he looks in preseason and early in the season. But personally, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Castle taken off to the G League, even if it's for like a couple of games, 2-3 games, something short.
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. But again, you need to see what the kid's got. I mean, he's a high pick. The fan expectation is through the roof for Castle. Yeah. They want to see him out there. They want to see what this young high draft pick that you got can do with this team. I'm excited to see that too. The first let's say, inkling that we might have, or Castle sighting in the context of him taking the court at the Frost Center, could be the infamous silver and black game.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
Jeff, that you weren't here for that maybe last year, but this year you're going to be there covering this game as a member of the media.
Yeah.
It's going to
Absolutely.
be something special for the fans because, again, this is the first time that these fans actually get to see
Yep.
these draft picks in action on the court. And sometimes they shell out, even during like the warm-ups.
Yeah.
They'll be doing like dunks. They put the
Dunks
ball in
and
between their
everything, yeah.
legs, 360 dunks. You know, Wemby was doing that this last time at the silver and black game.
I think you were doing it
good
too, Joe, right? You were doing some windmill
Oh.
dunks as well.
Heck no. Those days are way maybe on a little Tykes basketball court back in the day, Jeff, but I don't think we got those hops. But it's exciting for the Spurs fans to see the players nonetheless. Silver and black game, that's where it's going to be at. That's where you might actually get to see your first look at what Stefon Castle can do.
Absolutely. He is Joe Garcia. Make sure to follow him on X at Area 210 Podcast. Joe, we need to know what's going on with that. What's up with Area 210 and, of course, the YouTube show?
Yeah, Area 210. I'm trying to get you to come out on the show so we can go ahead and kickstart it because it's only fitting. You were there for the Two Shots podcast when we did our inaugural kickoffs.
That, yeah.
We need to get you full circle so we can go ahead and kick this one off as well. So we're going to try to coordinate you coming into the studio so we can talk Spurs basketball. And we're probably going to have this done as a weekly podcast, not something that can be done every day because I just don't have the time. But, you know, once a week, we'll kind of give you the skinny on what has happened in the week of San Antonio Spurs basketball.
Nice.
Maybe preview some games that are going to be coming up, you know, in the previous week that Spurs fans might have a good bead on what's going to happen with these matchups and these games and how important they're going to be. And also what's happening in our own backyard. You know, what murals are going up, what things are cooking here in the 210. We'll bring you that as well. So it's going to be fun. And also make sure you go and follow us at the Alamo City Podcast Network so you can go ahead and see the shows that we have coming up because we do have some new shows that are on the horizon there. And also you can go ahead and catch the Alamo City Sportscast that happens Monday through Friday with me and Mike Jimenez. It happens every weekday from 10 a.m. to about 11:30 a.m. We're the only morning show in town when the local airwaves go dark. So make sure you go and give us a like and a follow.
By the way, Joe, I did text you my schedule so you got it, so you know how to schedule all that. But no, looking forward to it. You know, that 210 podcast sounds fun. I think everybody's going to love it. And obviously the YouTube show, everybody chimes in. Everybody jumps into the chats, and you and Jimenez and who was it, Medina, and the fantasy show you got there. So just a lot of good stuff there. Follow Joe on X at Area 210 Podcast. You see it on your screen. We'll be back Wednesday talking all things silver and black as the offseason is slowly winding down. Yes, it's coming to an end soon. So as we just get through these next few weeks, we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's Fight Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. Click subscribe. We're good to go. And yeah, as always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen. So for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs. I just hope Joe doesn't get abducted by aliens when we go. All right. We'll see you on Wednesday, everybody.
Go Cowboys.
You're going to bring it out. Anyway, see you later, guys. We're putting a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.